In technology, the Abbasids adopted papermaking from China. The use of paper spread from China into the Caliphate in the 8th century CE. Arriving in al-Andalus, Islamic Spain, and then the rest of Europe in the 10th century. It was easier to manufacture than parchment, less likely to crack than papyrus, and could absorb ink, making it ideal for making records and copies of the Quran. Islamic papermakers devised assembly line methods of hand-copying manuscripts to turn out editions far larger than any available in Europe for centuries. It was from the Abbasids that the rest of the world learned to make paper from linen. The knowledge of gunpowder was also transmitted from China via the Caliphate, where the formulas for pure potassium nitrate and an explosive gunpowder effect were first developed. Advances were made in irrigation and farming, using new technology such as the windmill. Crops such as almonds and citrus fruit were brought to Europe through al-Andalus, and sugar cultivation was gradually adopted by the Europeans. Apart from the Nile, Tigris and Euphrates, navigable rivers were uncommon, so transport by sea was very important. Navigational sciences were highly developed, making use of a rudimentary sextant, known as a camal, when combined with detailed maps of the period. Sailors were able to sail across oceans rather than skirt along the coast. Abbasid sailors were also responsible for reintroducing large three-masted merchant vessels to the Mediterranean. The name caravel may derive from an earlier Arab ship known as the Carib. Arab merchants dominated trade in the Indian Ocean until the arrival of the Portuguese in the 16th century. Hormuz was an important center for this trade. There was also a dense network of trade routes in the Mediterranean, along which Muslim countries traded with each other and with European powers such as Venice or Genoa. The Silk Road crossing Central Asia passed through the Abbasid Caliphate between China and Europe. Engineers in the Abbasid Caliphate made a number of innovative industrial uses of hydropower, and early industrial uses of tidal power, wind power, and petroleum, notably by distillation into kerosene. The industrial uses of watermills in the Islamic world date back to the 7th century. While horizontal-wheeled and vertical-wheeled watermills were both in widespread use since at least the 9th century. By the time of the Crusades, every province throughout the Islamic world had mills in operation, from al-Andalus and North Africa to the Middle East and Central Asia. These mills performed a variety of agricultural and industrial tasks. Abbasid engineers also developed machines, such as pumps, incorporating crankshafts, employed gears in mills and water-raising machines, and used dams to provide additional power to watermills and water-raising machines. Such advances made it possible for many industrial tasks that were previously driven by manual labor in ancient times to be mechanized and driven by machinery instead in the medieval Islamic world. It has been argued that the industrial use of water power had spread from Islamic to Christian Spain, where fulling mills, paper mills, and forge mills were recorded for the first time in Catalonia. A number of industries were generated during the Arab Agricultural Revolution, including early industries for textiles, sugar, rope making, matting, silk, and paper. Latin translations of the 12th century passed on knowledge of chemistry and instrument making in particular. The agricultural and handicraft industries also experienced high levels of growth during this period.